Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale has broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Boy, are you going to be glad you tuned in today. Believe you me. We have a returned guest. She's a great guest. Jana Jackson is her name. She is a teacher. She is a godly woman. She is a singer. She is now an author. She's everything. And so I'm just going to say, hi, Jana, and then I'm going to take a nap because she has a lot of things to say. Jana, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming up from Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah. It's about a 6-hour drive. Did it take
Just
you that long?
about 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah, whenever my wife and I head down to Phoenix, we do the debate. Should we fly? Well, it's going to take just as long to do all that TSA stuff and everything as it will to drive, so we usually drive as well. Yes. But thank you for coming up last night. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Boy, it's been a couple of years. Has it been a couple of years since you've been on the show?
Yes, it has.
And a lot of things have happened.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
You dipped your toe in politics a little bit. Tell us about that.
Well, I didn't win, but...
you should have.
But when you get more than 75,000 votes, then you win.
Yes.
So that means there are a lot of people that really sort of understood what I was saying, and my mission is always 100% for the kids.
Yes.
So that was my mission, and right now in politics, everyone now is putting the children first.
Yes.
You know, so I think I was right on time, and my life in politics hasn't stopped.
Okay, good.
But I'm following the direction that God is leading me right now.
Right.
And so some of the things 2 years ago that I wanted to complete, I've completed.
Good.
And I'm just so excited to be able to sit here with you to say God is good.
God is good.
Very good. All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
All
yes.
the time.
And I finished my book.
Good.
Yes, I finished.
I want to hold it up.
Yes.
Your nom de plume is Janifer. The Night the Train Stopped is the name of it. And let's right away tell people how they can get it. How can they get your book?
The book is on Amazon.
Oh, okay,
so
great.
It's very easy. Just go to Amazon and you can put in Janafer, which is sort of a made-up name, or you can put in The Night the Train Stopped.
Right.
And the picture of the book will come up, and you can order it right off of Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Which is very exciting to say I'm an author, and it's on Amazon, so it's very easy to get.
That's great.
Yes.
Tell us what motivated you to write a book. I know it was the children.
Yes.
You have a long career of teaching children, and you've done all kinds of unusual things with your teaching career. We'll get to that in a minute, but tell us why you wrote the book.
Well, I was in Italy. I was teaching teachers, but the purpose was for me to go to Italy to teach teachers.
Yes.
And the day that I arrived, the teacher who I was going to work with was in a car accident. And they didn't have a substitute. And I said, oh, she's teaching science, I can teach science.
Yes.
And they sort of looked at me and started laughing, and okay, but do you know Italian? And the answer is no.
Yes.
I don't know any Italian, just a little bit. Hello, goodbye, where's the bathroom? So,
the important stuff.
Important stuff. So I was in the room and I said, well, I teach science and I teach mathematics.
Right.
And science and mathematics is its own language.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand that. But the kids in school understand it.
Okay.
And in fact, this school, they were learning English.
They were?
Yeah, yes. In fact, in Italy, in the northern part of Italy, there is a British grant that comes into this school, but the requirement is for all of the students to learn how to speak English.
Wow.
So everybody was excited. So now I can teach English,
Yes.
and I could teach science, and I could teach math. And so as I started teaching, the principal could not believe it, because the kids were actually learning science.
Oh,
they were learning physics and mathematics.
Wow.
And it was a high school, but it was from kindergarten through high school, and they had a huge special needs program. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, because in Italy, the Montessori schools really started in Italy after World War II.
Oh, okay.
So it was their way of trying to give back to children, because they were so devastated during the war.
Sure.
So they had the Montessori school set up there for the younger kids, and I just began teaching.
Right.
And one day, the kids had music, and they would open up the halls, and you had all this beautiful music, Italian music. It was just absolutely incredible. But one day, I heard this music, and it was awful. And I realized that they were speaking English,
Right.
in songs that I learned as a child.
Yes.
But the music was being played as if it was in a Catholic church. So
Yeah.
you would have to imagine having a song with the piano playing music that was like in a Catholic church, and then
Right.
put black gospel into the song. It was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So I went to the music teacher and I said, would you like for me to just sing the song that the students are learning the way I learned it as a child? And so I sang the song, and the piano teacher had tears in his eyes. I didn't know why. And he said, well, can you sing that same song tomorrow? And I said, sure. And when I came in the same way every day and said hello to everyone, there were lots of parents and grandparents and great-grandparents out in the parking lot and in the school. Well, in Italy, people lived to be in the hundreds, so you had a lot of elderly people
Yes.
coming in the school. And I went to the music room, and they just surrounded the music room, and they said, will you sing the song you sang? And I said, well, I don't speak Italian. I have to sing it the way my grandmother sang it in their church. And I sang the song, and people were actually crying.
Wow.
And I didn't understand why. So there was a young man that I would always walk past his house, and he was blind, and his name is Noah. And so that same afternoon, I was still troubled. I didn't know what I had done wrong. And I heard Noah playing his guitar. It was like Spanish guitar music.
Right.
And he came I could see him in the window, and I just called out, Noah, it's Miss Jackson. And his father came downstairs and said, come on upstairs, we want to talk to you. And he explained that during the war, World War II, in this little town, there were 2 concentration camps. One camp was for the adults, and the second camp was for the children. And at night, you could hear the children crying and wailing because they weren't feeding them. They weren't giving them anything to drink.
Oh,
so it was very sad. And Noah's father told me, he said, but the people that were in the town when the children were gathered are the children that are still in our town, are the adults that are still in our town.
So they remember
So
this
they
song.
remembered. So you have to picture this. In World War II, Negro black soldiers only dug latrines, cooked food, shined boots, washed clothes, and they also buried the dead. And so there was a troop of Negro soldiers during World War II who was allocated to dig graves in this small town. Well, there was a British troop that was going through, and they needed help, so the American soldiers gave this black troop to the English soldiers, from British soldiers, to dig latrines. And every night as the children, well, all the children, they all died. And so they were all over, in this place where they put them, that's where they died. And then they had the older adults, some of them died, some of them didn't. But they said that the Negro soldiers would come, they only did it at night, they would clean up, and then at night they would bury the children. And every child was buried in its own grave. And they built Jewish crosses, the Jewish star, to put on their grave sites. and they sang Negro spirituals every night, praising God for the children that were born. Children that were in the camp.
Wow.
So when I came to the school, and the rule was from now on, forever and ever, we will teach these children the songs that these Negro soldiers sang. Well, one night, the Negro soldiers left, and they didn't say goodbye. The morning when everyone woke up, the children were buried in all of their plots. They cleaned and made a cemetery for the children, and they just disappeared. So they didn't have their names, they didn't know where they were from, they just knew they were American soldiers and they were on loan with the British troop. So when I sang the song, they were surprised because this little town in Italy, I'd say maybe 200 miles from Tuscany.
Okay.
They're out where you have the vineyards. Everyone has, grape vineyards. They have olive oil. These are the things that they make.
Yeah.
And the song brought back the memories to the great grandparents' stories that they told their children about of World War II. The night the train came, the night the train stopped. So Noah's great-grandfather was a child who had blonde hair and blue eyes. And the rest, most of the Jews had, dark hair, dark eyes. But he was sent to this little town in Italy because they knew that Hitler was following the train depot, the train stops. And that's how he could collect the Italian Jews. And that this town was the last stop before going to Austria. And they knew that he was going all the way through Italy, setting up these camps, putting people in these camps. And they knew one day the train would stop. So Noah's great-grandfather had a plan. His aunt and uncle had a plan for him. And they told him what to do the night the train would stop. And that's what the book is about. Noah's adventures of what he had to do in order for him to live the night the train stopped. So they taught him how to, they built him what they called a hidey hole. And this hidey hole that they built, they dug a hole and it was vines and plants. They put wine and water in the hidey hole, and they would refresh it.
Sure,
and I didn't know wine and water, if you keep adding water to the wine that they make in Italy. See, in Italy, the wine that the farmers make is not like in the United States.
Right.
The wine does not have a certain kind of alcohol level.
Right.
So wine,
and children can drink
the children
it.
can drink. That's why the children drink it. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
wine and water that would keep it from souring, and he would be able to drink it. And she made bread, Jewish bread, in a knapsack, and she kept it by the stove in their home. So the night the train stopped, Noah had to run to the hidey hole. And Noah actually lived in the hidey hole. So that's what the story is about. It's about how an African-American woman from the inner city Chicago could go to a small town in Italy and walk through the town, and people would give me roses and flowers and wine and candy just to touch my skin. And it was like, I don't understand this, because, nobody, especially in church, my pastor, Reverend Seabrooks, would have me sitting next to his mother and Mother Sharon so that I wouldn't get into trouble because I was so bad in church. So now you have, I was awful in church. I grew up in the church. My father would give me $0.25 to put into the church, put in a little basket. I'd run to the store with nobody looking. I'd get at least 10 cents of candy, put 15 cents in the plate. This is going off topic. My father was a deacon. He was a head deacon. He counted the money. I had to sit with the adults. All the adults would put in dollars. Nobody would put in 15 cents. And so, so I was that kind of child. My dad said to me one day, he said, there's somebody in the choir only putting in 15 cents. All the adults are around me. But that's the kind of child I was. So for them to come and give me that honor, I just knew that I had to give the honor back. So I started writing the story in Italy. I wanted to make sure everything that I put in was their feelings. And then I wanted to put in the feelings of my grandmother, because my church was the church, that type of African-American Negro church during that time period of my grandmother and great-grandmother and great-great-grandmother.
Yes.
That was what these Negro soldiers from America gave to these children, gave to these people. So I wanted to make sure I would compare it. And I think it's just about one of the first stories that was actually written about Jewish people during that time period and Negro soldiers. So I did my research and I found there are no books that even talk about how Negro soldiers worked with people that were Jewish. And so I started to write, and I wanted to make sure before I left that I would have his story, that I would have Noah's story, that his grandfather, his great-grandfather. So I took lots of pictures of me sitting at the tables, and in the evening, all of the people around would bring food that you would not believe. They would bring recipe books.
They can cook. Oh my gosh.
They would bring recipe books of their grandmother and their great-grandmothers and their great-great-grandmothers and cook in the same house. It was absolutely incredible. So they did all this massive cooking. You have to picture this. They would all take it out to a canopy picnic table with wine vines going across. I mean, it was absolutely, it's just in a story, in a picture. And so he would tell his story of what it was him, what his life was like in the hidey hole and what he had to do. Wow. And that's what I wrote about. And then I compared everything that he told me to the plight of the Negro slaves. I mean, you would be surprised on how they were treated during the same time period and how the songs are so spiritually. The songs that I sang as a child, that they sang there in Italy, are Bible verses and Bible stories. And it wasn't until I became an adult, especially in the writing, that I realized what I am writing is the Bible. It's the Bible stories, but I didn't know that. I read sections of the Bible, but those songs that they sing are songs praising God. And the one song, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. A long way from home. Her home was with Jesus Christ. And the motherless child was that she was a slave having a child. And she didn't, and she was a long way from home. And she thought, I need to let my child go home before I go home. They didn't want their children to die and to live into that slavery. So those kind of songs, those black spirituals that were sung in my grandmother's church, great-grandmother's church in Louisiana, had the meaning of why these African Americans buried those children with so much love, not knowing the Jewish faith or knowing the children, even knowing the people in the town, just knowing that I want to fight in World War II. They didn't even have guns. I want to fight in the war. And if that's all I can do for my country is to bury the dead, I will bury the dead for my country. So and these aren't people in America, these are children in Italy. I wanted to be able to share the love of Jesus Christ was so deeply embedded into their heart that when they had the opportunity to give, they gave. And so I wrote the story. And that's the night the train stopped. And there's some other twists and turns in the story too. There's a little love event in the story. It's a great story. Great.
Thank you so much for doing this. Once again, her nom de plume is Janafer, Janafer, The Night the Train Stopped. And what a touching story. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to need to take a brief break, Jana, and when we come back, we're going to talk about you some more.
Okay.
And you're going to want to stick around. She's got a fascinating story. We'll be back with Jana Jackson right after this. The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. What a wonderful guest we have, Jana Jackson, who just told us a terrific story that's the basic story of her book, which is called The Night the Train Stopped, based on her experiences in Italy and all about World War II and the black soldiers who served that community. And I'm sure everyone there has been touched by the fact that you did this book.
Well, they're touched, but I am deeply touched just by the love that they showed me.
Oh,
yes,
gosh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And this exciting news during the break, which is where everything happens on this show, during the break, Jana came up with a great idea. Being a teacher, she'll tell you all about it, but she's going to get some participation from you, the viewers and listeners, and she's going to give away an autographed book, which will be a real keepsake. So tell people what you would have them do.
Well, for the first 50 people that, is that 50's okay?
Sure.
50 people, if you can tell me something about you, why you would even want to read my book, or how my book resonates with you, just by what you've heard. Or you can even purchase a book and I'll send you another one that's autographed. But you don't have to necessarily write like an essay. Essay is really a 5 paragraphs. So I'm not going to be the teacher, but write me something. Write me a paragraph. Send me a poem or a story or a song or a rap. Just send me something to let me know that you're with me and I'm with you, and I'll send you an autographed book. Is that okay?
Oh,
Does it sound okay?
Fantastic.
Yes.
So
yes.
please tell everybody how to reach you.
Well, you can reach me by email, and it's a simple email. It's JanaMusic1234 So that's Jana Music 1234
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Jana, Jana Jackson. No, Jana Music, MUSIC 1234. And I'll send you an autographed copy, a free autographed copy.
Wow.
So please, I would love that. I would absolutely love it.
Thank you.
You know, there's one thing that I didn't share also, is that we're going to have, the book now is going to be a book in which they can actually download on their phone. I think Amazon calls it a thumbnail.
Okay.
So you can actually go to Amazon during Christmas, and you'll be able to actually download. And then that book, I sing, and there are people that speak. So it's not going to be like one of those audio books where one person just reads. It's going to be people that are actually reading the book. So I'll have, there's an Italian man that will be reading the Italian part, and there's a lady in my church who's going to be reading the grandmother part. And I'm going to sing the songs that my grandmother sang. And so it's going to be more like a incredible audio book with sound, with music sound, not just one person just reading. It's going to be exciting. So it'll be available during Christmas, 2023.
Well, thank you, Jana.
Yes.
What a nice way to market the book, and just to let the world know.
Yes.
Do the people in the little town in Italy know that you've completed the book?
No. It's really strange because my book is doing very well in England, in the UK. It was amazing how it's doing it very well in the UK. And there's one story that I tell in the book about how when the British came to the school, remember I told you that the children needed to learn how to speak English.
Right.
So I taught ways also, teaching science and math, I also taught the teachers other ways to teach English.
Right.
And so when there are people that come from England to actually test the children, and this was the first time every child in the high school passed. But the one problem that they had was that it was not British English but American English. And I talk about that in the book. So when the person who was a examiner left, he said, well, I guess English isn't really English, but passing is passing. So I thought that was just wonderful because they all could speak the English to pass the test, but it was not British English.
Oh, that's funny.
But yes, so it's my dream when we get the book on the tape, the thumbnail, I'll be able to send the thumbnail because it's easier to send a thumbnail downloading than to send the book.
Okay.
So when they finish that, yes, and it's my dream to go back to that small little town. Little town is a famous town. Andre Bocelli, the book will also be printed in Braille.
Oh,
and that's in honor of Noah. Noah in the book is blind.
Right.
And he was the protege of Andre Bocelli.
Wow.
And Andre Bocelli went to this school.
Really?
Yes, Andre Bocelli. So I had the opportunity to actually go into Andre Bocelli's mother's home before she passed away, naturally.
Wow.
Yes, so Andre Bocelli, this is his school. But I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that as time went on, that this is the elementary school that he went to. And the Montessori, he went to the Montessori school. And in this school is a school for the gifted, for children that are blind and deaf in a certain region. And so it's just going to be an honor to go back, to send the thumbnail, but then to also be able to go back and see all of my friends and those that have passed. I can visit their grave sites and just worship and have church with them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, and it's amazing how much they love Jesus. I think the parts when Hitler sent these soldiers and the train stop in Italy is like a little platform. You know how we have the long platforms,
right.
But a train stop in Italy is a little platform. It is big enough for you to get onto when the doors open, and it's big enough for you to walk down the stairs or walk up the stairs. So to picture the soldiers coming, they would have to walk and march down these stairs. And then sometimes the last time the train brought people. So all of these people that were Jewish, but they were only the adults, there weren't any children. The adults had to walk down the stairs and then walk to that concentration camp. Wow. And I've looked in a lot of books, and the concentration camps are actually in a lot of our books, a lot of the books with the history, Jewish history. When I was there, I took pictures, of the grave site. The most amazing part was seeing the crosses. They must have, because they buried the children, some kind of way. They had gotten the wood, they cut the wood, they built the star
of David. Yeah.
And it was on and we're talking about a lot of children. It wasn't like 20, it was a lot of children. It was just amazing to see because, those stars are still there. They've gone, and when I was there, they still had the stars. It was a very poor town. In Italy, you have a lot of very poor towns, but they have incredible wine and incredible olive oil.
Oh, bet.
Yeah, so it's, I just loved it. I just absolutely love it.
Wow.
And so I wanted all of the money from the book to go to a foundation, and that's the Jana Jackson for Kids Foundation. And KIDS stands for Knowledge, Integrity, Discipline, and Spirituality. And so that foundation funds for kids to go to free space camps and mentoring camps. And we even have a section of book pocket dresses where we give dresses to children that are in the homeless shelters. And we've sent dresses also to Africa, as well as to China, as well as to Mexico. And so these dresses, in the pocket is a little book, and the book is Jesus Loves Me, but it doesn't say Jesus Loves Me, it says You Are Loved. And the song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine.
Sure.
That's the main focus in this book, and the light is Jesus. Sending it to China, they don't necessarily know it's Jesus, but it's saying that we love you, He loves you, capital H, even though God is not the He. But we made sure that when I wrote the book, it would be acceptable in any country, and there wouldn't be one person that would ever be hurt because they had the book. And the back of the book is a coloring book.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So when my daughter taught in China, she took things with her for the children that she was teaching, And we have a mission. There's a mission that we take care of children that are, my church takes care of the mission in Mexico.
Okay.
Children are children. And then the foundation takes care of children. And the next adventure in caring for children will be for those that are trafficked. And the reason is because I have lots of children in my classroom that are trafficked. So sometimes people forget about coming across the border and the people, the adults, but the children coming across the border have lots of stories to tell and lots of help that they need. So I decided that in praying, one thing that I would like to do, since I already have a mentoring camp in which we've had the LA Dodgers, the White Sox, and the Cardinals, they all participated with the children.
That's great.
I want to add, and we've had the homeless children. I want to add to the children in my community, Arizona, that have been trafficked.
Yeah.
And then eventually take it out throughout the United States. That's the pipe dream if God allows me, if that's His plan for me.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
And you're such a giving person. You're teaching now, right?
Yes, I'm teaching. I've taught for 23 years, or been in education for 23 years.
Right.
I spent some time, 8 years, in working as an aerospace education specialist with NASA.
Right.
And when I worked at NASA, I went to them and I said, please let me go into the inner city schools and present, and I'll write the program. Now, the most incredible part, because they say you never change a system, NASA changed the system. I was allowed to actually write and then go into the inner city, deep inner city schools where NASA had never gone to share space science, real space science, which is looking at chemistry, looking at chemistry, physics, and earth space science, and teach it on a level to kindergarten all the way through university in which they could understand. And that's why I was hired by NASA. I was hired because I had a gift in writing so that people could understand. So I could take information from astronauts and scientists and I could break it down so that you could teach it to a kindergartner. It wasn't something I was taught. It was something that I learned teaching Sunday school when I was teaching Sunday school when I was 10 years old. I don't know if you remember the Bible cards?
Yes.
Yes, well, the Bible
Yes.
cards was what I taught from.
Yes.
So I changed the lessons in teaching and made them into like Bible cards in NASA, and it worked.
Wow.
And so I was able to go all over the United States, every state in the United States except Hawaii. I didn't get that detail, but I was able to go into Alaska with the Alaska Aerospace Development Corporation and develop curriculum for the Challenger Center in Alaska,
Wow.
Kodiak, Alaska. I went all over. They sent me all over. So God has blessed my life when it comes to education. And an astronaut, his name was Dr. Story Musgrave. I'll never forget that. He was one of the scientists that were the 7 scientists that actually went into space. Dr. Musgrave he was a neurosurgeon.
Right.
And he said to me, I will give you everything that I know, all of the knowledge that I know, and I'll ask my friends to do the same, because we know one day you will go back and you will give it back. It doesn't stop here at NASA. And so Dr. Story Musgrave and Dr. Joel and Arlene Levine, they're still at NASA, gave me everything. They equipped me with everything. So when it would be my time to leave, I would not leave what I had learned from them and what I would be able to give back to children. And so that's how the foundation started. And when I went to Italy, naturally, I was still giving back, writing the curriculum, teaching the teachers, teaching the students, and trying to do a good job of what God had planned for my life.
Wow. And you also spent some time on the Native American reservations. Tell us about that.
Yes, I called a reservation, and I spoke to a lady, and I said, do you have aerospace curriculum on the reservation? And she said, oh, no. So, well, do you have any like space science? And she says, oh, we would love that, but we don't have anything. So I said, do you think I could come and maybe do space camp programs for all of the children? And it would take me just about a week. And she said, yes. So my father had passed away, and I had a little money. So I got on the plane and got my materials and bought what I needed. I took it to the reservation, the Navajo reservation, and I started teaching the camp. And the class kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, this is one thing, the beautiful thing about teaching on the reservations. The grandmothers come. They come with food. They have incredible fry bread. This is the truth. I mean,
I
the
love
fry
bread.
But can you notice how each piece is the same size? How can you do that in a skillet?
Yeah.
They make the fry bread, and every piece of fry bread is the same. So the fry bread is what got me. And then they came and they said, we want you to stay here. We don't want you to leave. We have teacher housing. Will you come and will you work with us? And I said, well, my dad had just passed away and I hadn't decided what I wanted to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to stay here. I had children at that time. I said, we'll all stay here and I'll teach. And the next year they said Department of Education was going to close down the high school, and they said, well, do you think you might want to be a turnaround coach and keep this high school open? So I turned the F school around to a B school, and it took me 3 years. And I used the same methods, and I concentrated with the higher sciences, teaching science, physics, and chemistry. High sciences, earth space science, but teaching the subjects that would go with them and staying right with the standards. But that was my gift. So it was my gift to be able to read and then to change it and then to implement it and then to test it. I know how to use the data. So when speaking to people, I can put a data chart up and I can talk their language and then go back and then speak the language of my students. So I taught the Navajo. I was on the reservation for just about 6 years.
Wow.
And I taught the Navajo, Hopi, Zuni, and Apache. And I went other places in the reservations, like I went away where there Apache reservation, and then I taught there. And our Apache reservation in Arizona is Apache, but also all the Native Americans are sort of mixed now. But Apache and Navajo and Hopi are usually together.
Yes.
Apache, just all different Native Americans coming together, being able to work. And I actually taught. Talking so much, but I'm on a talk show, so I guess I'm supposed to talk.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I taught at Haskell University, and that was also Native American and just a blessing.
Yeah, we need to take a brief break.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll pick up with Haskell University,
Okay.
and I will be I'll be the guy with my jaw dropped, and what this woman has accomplished in her life, and how open and caring and loving she has been. I would guess Jesus has something to do with that. And we'll talk about Jesus and her faith as well. We'll be back with Jana Jackson right after this. Hi, I'm DaleDavidson, host of Las Vegas Tonight. Radio has an enduring place in the heart of America. Sometimes it's music that can enliven your spirit or keep you company when you need some. More often for me, it's just been the right spoken word or two that can quiet my mind and soul. Radio brings me a reassuring word in the quiet of night or a welcoming voice early in the morning as I shake off the night's sleep and find my way into God's purpose for my day. And always, I find the best radio station is the one that brings me the best news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite radio station is KKVV in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's still right where it's been for years at 1060 on the AM dial, hovering over Sin City like a gospel airship, broadcasting the good news of the abounding love that Jesus Christ has for every single one of us. No matter who you are or where you live, you can receive God's Word via the KKVV Gospel Airship. Just go to kkvv.com and click on Listen Live. KKVV is using all the tools that God's provided them, like podcasting and video streaming and video on demand, to produce programs that lift up our fellow believers and save the lost. If you feel a calling to speak to others about Jesus Christ on your very own show, pick up the phone and call the station. They'll be happy to tell you how. Call KKVV today at 702-731-5588 or drop them an email at kkvvradio@hotmail.com. Please join me in becoming part of the KKVV family. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. What a fascinating guest we have. Jana Jackson is with us. Teacher would be the number one description of this wonderful lady. And now author. She's got a terrific book called The Night the Train Stopped, which is a very, very touching story that she came across when she was teaching in Italy. And she's been all over the world and she's taught at every level. She has agreed to look at everything that you send to her having to do with the book and your desire to have an autographed copy. She's going to give away 50 free copies. And tell us how they can get in touch with you once again.
The Gmail, which is JanaMusic1234, JanaMusic1234@gmail.com.
Yeah, so send us your songs or your essay or your poem or your rap or anything that you want, talking a little bit about your education. Jesus would be a plus. Whatever you want to do creatively, and Jana will send you a book. So
Yes.
Thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about your years on the reservation where you were teaching and you accomplished so much, particularly with that high school you turned around. Then you mentioned before we went to break that you taught at the university level. Tell us about that.
I taught math at Haskell University.
Mm-hmm.
It was an absolutely wonderful experience, but I was also in graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
So in graduate school, you need money, and you need to work, and I applied to teach mathematics, and they accepted it. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience because, you know, Native Americans learn math differently. When you look at the rugs that their grandmothers and fathers weave, that's mathematics 200%.
Really?
And the great-great-grandparents have passed those skills down. So I actually taught my math class at looking at the way those blankets were actually made.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. If you can attach to a person's true learning style the information that you want to give to them, they actually learn faster. So that's always been my secret.
Yeah.
You know, if you can find the person of the child and not group them as students, but looking at them as individuals, finding what their strength is, and being able to take that strength, and you as the educator, take it and then change it, modify it, embrace it, and then give it back to them. That's really what Jesus did. That's really what Jesus did to us.
Yes.
Students begin to learn, and they learn quickly, and they learn in their own way, and they feel good about their learning.
Wow.
Yes.
You have many gifts, clearly.
Thank you.
And intelligence is right at the top of the list. But also, right behind that is empathy. You have a real understanding of what makes people tick, and that's what's made you such a great teacher. I wish we had school after school full of Jana Jacksons. What made you want to be a teacher? When you were a little girl, you must have had that in your heart. Tell us how that came about.
Being born in the inner city, parents separate their children. Parents that parents that are drug addicts, children are exposed to being drugs. My home was centered around Jesus, and I didn't really understand it because my father became the first member of the church I was raised in, which means that I was raised in the church. So I didn't really know the difference, but I knew that there was something special. And they told me one day that because I was so bad, I mean, you have to imagine this little black girl looking to see who's looking. So I could slide out that back door, and I kid you not, the store was 1 block, and I could run. And I could run after Sunday school. You had like maybe, 15 minutes, to just get the choir had to line up, before they came they had to march into the church, and the pastor's in the bathroom putting on everything, and my father sitting in the front because that's where the deacons sat. Deacons sat in the front, mothers sat behind them. Well, these are all my aunts, and my great aunts were all the mothers. Everybody's in the front. I'd have to sneak out that door and have to run to the store, get my 10-cent worth of candy, run back and get in line so I could march up behind the choir with Miss Seabrooks and Mother Sharon to sit in the choir. So it was important for me to follow Jesus, but I didn't know I was following Jesus. And they told me, they said, well, we want you to teach the Sunday school class of the 4- and 5-year-olds. Now, they wanted me to teach because they knew I had a 15-minute window. And if I had the 4- and 5-year-olds, I wouldn't have a 15-minute window because I would have to wait for the mothers of the church to come and get all of the 4- and 5-year-olds to take them to the children's church.
Right.
So they cut off my 15 minutes by making me be a Sunday school teacher. And
no more 10-cent candy.
It was no more 10-cent candy for me. And I was watched, and I loved the class. When I started teaching with the Bible cards, that's when I was introduced, because when I was a child, I didn't have the Bible cards.
Yeah.
Mother Sharon was like my Sunday school teacher. But when times passed, they started buying these Bible cards. And so I could teach for the Bible card. I had to read on Wednesday during choir rehearsal of the adults while I sat in the pews, could not run to the store. I had to read the Bible cards so I could prepare for the Bible cards. So when I read the cards, I said, these kids can't read. So Jesus, if you really want me to do this, you're going to have to tell me what I have to do, because I can't just sit and read because they won't sit still.
Yeah.
And what came to me was for them to act out the Bible cards. And once I started acting out the Bible cards, they loved my class. All of a sudden, my mother was she was baking treats for my Bible class. Mother Sharon was coming by buying, she worked at Walgreens. So she would always buy something from Walgreens to my Bible class. And I just absolutely fell in love. Now, Miss Seabrooks was a teacher. My Aunt Odell was a teacher. So, there were a lot of women in the church that were teachers. And so I said, well, and my best friend, Charlotte, the book is sort of dedicated in memory of Charlotte. Charlotte passed away last year. Charlotte was the person that would just look out for me. So if I needed to run faster, she would be out there waving. And so Charlotte and I grew up in the church, and we loved it. We made up a game called Rock Teacher. And after church, I would be Reverend Seabrooks, and I would talk like Reverend Seabrooks, and she would be like Mother Sharon because she had a really high voice. So we would go home on Sunday and play church. And then you can sit on the stairs, and we played Rock Teacher. So Rock Teacher, you take a rock, and I had to make all of everybody, because I have a lot of sisters and brothers, cousins, everybody in the neighborhood, sit on the stairs. Everybody had to sit on the first stair. And then I put a rock in my hand. I had to be in control. Put it in my hand, and I'd cross it, and I said, okay, so where is the rock? And if they hit the right hand, they could move up to first grade. And so we would even come in and play teacher. So after playing church, then we would play Rock Teacher, or sometimes we would play Rock Teacher before church. And then it would be time for us to go in and get dinner, or supper, as my dad would say.
Yes.
And then it was time to get ready for bed. So I became a teacher from punishment. Punishment, because they had to control me. I was just...
you were just full of vim and vinegar.
They took a picture. There's a picture of me right now as you walk into the church of... they put all the children in the front. Now, I'm next to Reverend Seabrooks because I had to always be by an adult. So I'm standing right next to her. And I had to be away from the boys because I was a girl. I knew that if I teased any boy, they couldn't tease me back. That's the rule. So I would tease them just awful. And I'm standing next to Reverend Seabrooks, so they said, smile. And so I make this incredible face, right? And I told everybody to do it too. Nobody did it. So there I am, Jana Jackson, front row, John A. Jackson's daughter, head of the deacon board, right? And there I am.
Making a face.
Making a great big face. So it was just awful. So that's how I became a teacher. I became a teacher because in church I learned that there's a discipline to Jesus.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned about songs, and you had mentioned about me saying, why Jesus?
Yes.
There was a song that's called, you probably remember, it's an old Negro sort of spiritual. It's Oh, How I Love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus because he first loved me.
Yes.
And that's the song. That was a solo song for me. So they said, Jana, you're going to be all right. And you are not going to go to the candy store. And you're going to go and you're going to express. And so I sang. Reverend Seabriggs would have me come and sing. You express how much you love Jesus because he first loved me. And so that's why the book's written. It's written because God loves me so much that he gave me opportunities that most people from the inner city of Chicago, Inglewood District, I went to Inglewood High School, 63rd and Halsted. I lived on 60th and LaSalle. That's the worst part of the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, that's a tough neighborhood.
And I made it because Jesus had me all over covered. And so that song, Oh, How I Love Jesus, Oh, How I Love Jesus, Oh, How I Love Jesus, because he first loved me, that's the reason why I became a teacher and decided to take the risk to step out with the book.
Oh, God bless you for doing it.
Yes.
God bless you for doing
Yes,
it. And for being you and for following the Lord's leading.
Thank you.
Speaking of which, I mentioned during the break that I was gonna do this to you.
Yeah.
But we've got 3 or 4 minutes left in the show, and I want to turn the show over to you and have you talk directly to the audience. We have millions of viewers. We're blessed with many viewers, many of whom don't know Jesus at all. They might not even know his name because we're on in foreign countries.
Yes.
And I know you have a heart for that as well because of your ministry. So that's your camera. Please, whatever the Lord puts on your heart, please tell them.
Well, what comes to my mind and my heart is there's a story about a man who I believe in a car accident. He lost his wife and all of his children, and he blamed God. He said, God, you took away my children, you took away my wife. And he didn't understand that God does not give death. God may permit it, like Job. He took everything from Job. And so what comes in my mind, and he gave everything back, is a song that I sang as a child. And it's Precious Lord, Take My Hand. Now, the song is a little different in the black churches sometimes. Sometimes they mix the words, they change the words, because when they sing these songs, they're praying. And if you're praying, you don't have a lyric, you have your heart, you give your soul. And so, Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on and let me stand, because he was at the bottom of his life. He didn't know where he was going to turn, like many people. It doesn't make any difference who you are, where you are, how much money you have. Everyone needs Jesus. And so he said, Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on and let me stand. I'm tired. I'm so tired. But Lord, take my hand, lead me on. And in my book, I sort of say that, Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on and let me stand. I am tired. I am weak, but thou art strong. And through the days and through the nights, Precious Lord, be my sight. Precious Lord, take my hand and lead me on. And so I'd like to give that message to people. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care what you're doing in life. There's only one Redeemer and one person who will lift you up, who will stand with you, who will carry you when you can't walk. All you have to do is just ask him, Jesus, come into my heart, come into my life, take my hand, help me to stand, and Jesus will walk with you and be with you, not only in this life, but in the life as you pass on. That's what I'd like to give.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And what an honor it's been to have you on the show again, Jana. You're a remarkable woman. I am so glad that that your students get to have you as a teacher.
Oh, thank
You
you.
know, oh yeah, I meant what I said about the schools need to be full of Jana Jacksons, and also I wish you luck in your leadership roles. I hope they have the sense to elect you
Yes.
down there in Phoenix. And do you have an office in mind?
Well, I really don't. I want God to sort of direct me.
Right.
But I also have my foundation is a 501c3,
Right.
which means anything anyone gives to the foundation, it can be taken off their taxes.
Okay.
So I think the plan is for me to work hard on the 501c3 for children.
Okay.
And then when he leads me, and it's my time, I want to work in education.
Right.
I want to be a legislator that I'm working in education,
Right.
or maybe I'll be in Washington D.C. working maybe in the Department of Education.
Right.
But I want God to lead me, and I know I will be led to do the best that I can, but to always stay focused on the children.
Wow.
So,
And
yes.
you've done that all your life.
All my life, but God's good.
Oh yes, yes,
All the
he
time.
is. All the time, and all the time he is good.
Yes.
Oh, God bless you, Jana.
Well, thank you.
Jana Jackson. Well, what a great, great, great honor it's been having her on the show. And once again, the book is called The Night the Train Stopped. It's on Amazon. Janifer, Janafer, is her nom de plume. And she wants to give away 50 copies of the book. All you got to do is write to her. Once again, send it to
Jana Music 1234. JANAMUSIC 1234 @gmail.com.
Yep, and drop her a note, and she will send you an autographed copy of the book. What a blessing! Thanks again for being on the show. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
I want to thank Terry Arnold, my co-executive producer, for introducing me to Jana and making everything possible. Thank you to William Young, our director, for helping us. And don't shake your head. So stick around as I try to remember to say each and every episode of this show, when it comes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please walk with him. God bless you.